Someone has asked, how do you deal with behaviour and marking if you are total? So maybe, Daniel, do you have any examples of how that's gone for you?
Yeah, for sure. So it's very much, for me at least, it was very much a learning on the job situation because it's not the kind of thing that you can simulate. But I was fortunate again, first placement, shout out. They were very good at saying, look, we're here to support you, but let's try things and see, what works and what doesn't work. And I was fortunate to be able to see my mentor teach, so I was kind of able to model some of that behavior as well. But I would say it's very much just a learning exercise, and it's really about being, proactive to a certain extent, which I know can be easier said than done sometimes. But it's also about I would also say, knowing your space you're teaching in as well. I was fortunate in that, music was kind of, one area at the end of a hall on its own. So, I knew the space very well, and, I could very actively go around and, make sure that students were on track and doing what they were supposed to do and not getting off task. And, the biggest thing I would say is just take every day at a time. Remember that we all had to start somewhere with this stuff, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
one of those things, everybody's situation is going to vary slightly, so I can't give a, catch-all answer, unfortunately, even if I would like to.
Yeah, and a follow-up from that is, do you use, I guess it's different for music, but do you use any specialist tech in particular for marking, Daniel?
Yeah, so I mostly just do my marking electronically, to be honest with you, because we basically everything is on Google Classroom now. So
Mm,
what I'll oftentimes do is if I'm, reading, quote unquote, reading something, I'll oftentimes use Braille because there's no substitute for it in my mind. Literacy is very important. So I'm fortunate in that I have my refreshable Braille display, so I'll oftentimes, use that for reading. But if I'm skimming something quickly, I can just use a screen reader, obviously. And I mean, like, let's say somebody does hand you a piece of printed paper. OCR, optical character recognition is very good nowadays, but, also don't be afraid to ask your colleagues as well. Colleagues and also fellow associate teachers if you're doing your PGCE because you're all there in the same boat, and sort of rowing in the same direction, if you will.
Does anyone have, any of you guys have a support worker through Access to Work or maybe privately that you can speak on at all?
So yeah, in my previous setting, so when I was at the primary SEN school, I had a support worker that would do all sort of the visual part elements of the learning. So whether it be worksheets, symbols, basically anything that needed that additional check or something that would need to use specific online software that was just inaccessible or I was just inefficient at using. And so it was just much more better use of my time to get on with, something to like a report or updating something through an online something online, and then they would do all of the things ready for the next lesson, so I could sort of give them that task to then be like, okay, we're doing this, we need these resources, can you go find them and collect them? So that really helped in my second year because I didn't have that in my first year because I was waiting for access to work. So bit tricky, but it was sort of that I went in with the attitude being like, oh, I don't need to support work, I don't need this, don't need that, and then again it's that trial and error of this would make my life so much easier, and I really enjoyed my sort of second year at the placement with the support worker.
That's really good to know. And did you say that was through Access to Work?
Yes, it was.
Great. It's good to know that that's available. So this question is, someone is interested, is a Brailleist and is interested in teaching. I know, Daniel, you mentioned that already, but do you use Braille often in your teaching?
So honestly, I use it all the time. Part of it is the school I'm in, because like there are Braille embossers everywhere. You can just shoot something off the embosser if you need it, or just use a Braille display. So it's something that I use all the time, especially if I want to print like notes out I've made for myself that I can just scan them quickly and I'm not having to go line by line. And I do really think that it's a real skill to have, especially if you have no vision. I know everybody's vision varies, but for those of us that have none, it really does help with some of the barriers if you can just jot something down in Braille or Braille it out or what have you. So yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I would say that it is important. It has definitely helped me out quite a bit.
And I imagine it's very useful in a VI school setting as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because we have some students that actually will work in Braille, and then they can hand in their their Braille, and there's just a few of us who can read it natively, but everybody else can read it as well, obviously. But it just kind of shows the different mediums, in that
Yeah,
I can just pick up a student's work and read it natively.
yeah. Thank
And I
you.
guess I guess Chris, like with kind of getting into the area of becoming a QTVI, that like Braille is a key part of that, I suppose, and a key asset for you then when you'll be working as a QTVI.
Yeah, it's part of the course. You have to complete Braille assignments as part of it, and yeah, in hindsight, probably should have done more Braille when I was younger, because now I'm trying to catch up and learn contracted Braille as an adult, which is much more challenging. But yeah, for moving in towards the specialist and QTBI field, yeah, it's you'd be so far ahead of everyone else if you came in with Braille knowledge.